Anybody knows me knows that if you're my friend, you don't let me drive. I am one of the worst drivers on the planet. I'm here with my boy Destructive Film. Super excited because he's one of my favorite eyes, because he's one of the realest eyes out there. And we decided to just come out. I can't stay home anymore. I don't know what to do. And I know there's a lot of people feeling this way. Shouts out to Concrete. I love you, Con, for your vulnerability. But there's like a lot of creators and a lot of entertainers and doctors and lawyers and whatever you are that we just don't quite know what to do. We know it's wrong, but how do we help? Destructive and I decided to stop overthinking it, and I hopped in the car, and we're just gonna find what we can do. Find it. Like there's no answer, there's no playbook here. So anybody who is getting on any of the homies that are like, oh, I hate to see a rapper showing up, it's like they're showing up. They're trying to do what they're doing. Stop being so judgmental. But what I do know is that I built my career off the love of this community and these people, and I call them my people, and I take criticism for that, but they are. And now I'm gonna do whatever I can to figure out how to make a difference in a positive way, because all I can say to my fellow creators, my fellow shooters, Destructive felt the same way I did, where it's like, how can we not use our gifts that God's given? My gift is my voice. My gift is the love that I have in my heart that I can give to the world. Destructive's gift is his eye and his pulse to the streets and to the community with his eye. So we're just going to give that. And honestly, anybody who wants to critique how we're doing it or how my friends are doing it, and we just have to not give a fuck, and we have to do what's right in our hearts.
هم قاموا يعني بتهيئة هذه الطرق.
It's illegal on stolen land. No one's illegal on stolen land.
That's right. My family walked the Trail of Tears. That's right. They stole the land from my family.
Let's
yeah,
go.
That's right. They stole the land from my family. Okay. How you gonna say you want this? They don't deserve to be here. You stole the land from my family. That's right. Yeah. Half my family was slave owners. The other half of my family were the slaves, and then the other half of my family walked the Trail of Tears. What do you mean? They deserve to be here. Everybody deserves to be here. Straight up.
Came out with my guy. I'm a huge advocate for my Mexican American community out here in Los Angeles. I have been for a long time, and like a lot of media and a lot of personalities are taking criticism for the way they're showing up, or for showing up. And honestly, I don't even know what I'm walking into, and being geographically kind of stupid, I don't even know what building I'm at.
Okay, so from my understanding, this is the federal building in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Over here, I'm gonna say unconfirmed because I don't want to give misinformation. This building over here, these are cells. So there are people in this building. It's a detention center, like a detainment center. From what we're hearing, all of the unlawfully taken immigrants are being brought in here and put in the basement in those unmarked white vehicles, tinted vehicles by ICE, whether they have their papers.
Have you seen what's happening today with the trucks and the construction workers?
And they just show up and they act like they're somebody else, and they snatch people away. They bring them in, I'm so sorry, they bring them in here just like we saw just now. They take them all the way into the back, they don't let anyone see them, and they put them in the basement. That's what we're hearing.
What do you say for the person who knows they need to show up, doesn't quite understand everything, wants to, like I asked you, like wants to vulnerably, you can say the big word.
Vulnerably.
Thank you, thanks for the big word. Be part of feet on the ground.
I think showing up is the biggest lesson, because you meet so many people here that will teach you about what's going on and share their stories, you know what I mean? in the last few days of being here, I've learned so much. Also, doing your own research is a brilliant thing, you know, and it's very easy to find it, especially when social media is such a powerful platform now.
How do we separate the right info
From the wrong.
from the wrong?
See, that's a good, I think knowing in your heart that people aren't illegal. Nobody is illegal.
No.
And we are living on stolen land. In fact, California was Mexico for 27 years. Los Angeles was Mexico for 27 years. This is just as
What is
much
your
their
background?
space. I'm Middle Eastern, Free Palestine.
And you know what? I'll tell you, as I'm Jewish.
I'm also Jewish.
Okay, so and I'm personally taking criticism for the fact that I'm standing up for the Mexican American community, and I'm not necessarily standing for mine like I stand for the Mexican American community.
Right.
But then I also feel for the community in Palestine. I don't feel like it's right. I don't feel
Right.
like any of this.
No, genocides aren't right. It doesn't matter.
How do we show up? How do we show up through the criticism? How do we continue to help?
You're doing
make
it
a
right now.
difference?
You're showing up right now. And you're speaking and you're asking people things for those that don't have a voice. You're showing up right now. Just being here, sharing links, spreading the word. You know, if you see online, a lot of people are spreading where ICE is showing up to and being there and protecting people or giving people, you know, the right information. I also have these, if you want to just keep one. It's a red card, and that's what you do. This side's in Spanish, this side's in English. If ICE confronts you, these are your rights, this is what you say, and you just protect people the best that you can. You know, all you
Well,
can
I
do is show up
appreciate
and use
you.
your voice, especially when you're unfortunately more privileged than others. You know what I mean?
100% more privileged,
Yeah.
and
You're here and you're doing the right thing.
100%. And I want people to not, whether you're privileged, not privileged, white, black, Mexican, I want people to not be afraid to show up just because they don't know what to do. And
Right.
that's what
Show
we're
up
both-
and learn.
Yeah.
Show up and learn. That's the easiest way to do it, is to show up and talk to people and learn, you know?
Let's go. I got my man out here on the streets with me.
Land! No one is illegal on stolen land! No one is illegal on stolen land!
Let's go. Time to go.
Some business owners. She owns a shaved ice spot here on Alvera Street, and I don't get to come to Alvera Street at this time of the day normally, and I was like, is this normal? We see a couple of restaurants trying to open up now with the evening coming, and she said no, it's because what's going on down here and the freeways being blocked, and usually this is a slower time, I guess, for Alvera Street, but there's definitely, she said, kids that are walking here after school and tourists, and you know, it's definitely energy, and right now you can see where Alvera Street's at because of the freeway blockages, because of people's fear, because owners are raza, and there's a lot of fear out here. Anybody who knows this spot, bomb, legendary, usually there's a lion wrapped all around there. Not today. Of dangerous, burning Los Angeles right now. Right, guys? Los Angeles is super dangerous and burning. And that's where we are.
See for yourself.
Right?
Yeah.
This is dangerous, burning, conflicting, taking over, rioting Los Angeles right now. You see the bubbles? That's starting to scare me. It's getting active. I got my homegirl M here, and I was sitting next to her, and I knew she was doing something special. She doesn't want her face on camera, but she had this really special little book right here. I want to show you her book and what she's out here doing. And this is what the Marines are being called for. I'm going to give her the mic, but we're going to keep it on my face, or on the book. We'll keep it on the book out of respect, or my face. What are you doing here?
I was just sketching what's happening around, like protesters and people around me, to document it, like the events happening through art. Because I know how sometimes big news be like they would just show half the picture, not full of it.
Yeah.
So I was hoping maybe like at least a quick sketch, but like at least tell someone like what's really happening, even their small accounts.
Why was it important for you to come out here?
Well, I really like it. But first of all, what is happening right now is very wrong. Like, they're not really going after criminals. They're just going after someone, or like people who are just trying to make a good living. My parents, they're not documented. I know how they are. They work hard every day and night, to the point like I won't even see them sometimes because they really love us.
I love you, and I want to make sure you know we're with you and your parents, and both my parents are documented. I know it's a blessing, but I want you to know how important your parents are to the make of not only our economy, California, but the world, and how important you guys are. I'm with my new homie who complimented my hair.
Thank you. That's fire. Look at it. Come on. Look how chic. Look how it's giving. It's electric.
Giving.
Come on.
Eating it at 48. Eating it. Hey, how do you feel about everybody? This is you and your crew's first time out here, because you got one working, you're in school, getting your education at Mount Sac, which is awesome. Now, I'd asked you, it's your first time out here. What made you come out here today?
I knew I'd feel guilty for myself if I didn't at least show up and make sure there was my presence in the crowd. If we were looking from around us, it's the helicopter views that matter when you see this many people on the street, and it's the art that matters. So if you pan that camera around, this is fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, these girls out here are singing their souls out and they're dancing, and like, of course I'm enjoying this. This is an event. This is beautiful. I love it.
Well, you said it. It's beautiful, because how do you feel about all the narrative that's on TV and just like LA's burning like the houses?
The narrative is disgusting. The fascism is the same. It's the same time we protest for anything, and it's always in the same realm that they will quench protests for. If it's about personal liberties and freedoms, if it's about individual rights and opportunities, that's when they crunch us. That's when it always comes down to this, because they don't care when it's not something that will liberate us. Because if we're down, if we're all fucking broke, if we all have nothing, if we're all hating each other, it's the easiest way to control us. It's always the same system's tactics. It's disgusting. They did the same thing for BLM. You can't bring out the National Guard, and threatening that, although I haven't seen them here yet, threatening that in the first place is ridiculous.
How would you describe, for everybody who, like, I love my Marines, I support my Marines, and I actually feel for like watching like a lot of the cops and the Marines and everybody who's in the middle of trying to figure out how to navigate it, because they swore into us, the people, and to take care of us, but then they also swore to follow certain standards, and their executive, their chief.
I understand how and why it is really important to all of our military members, because what they do is important for us. We live in a global system of anarchy where nations can attack each other at will. So at the bottom line, we do have to have a military no matter what, even if the industrial complex is killing people. That's what we need to fucking change. In the first, we cannot have a military industrial complex that is just going out senselessly hurting people for goals that don't help any of us.
Let me ask your little smart Tupac wearing ass, what the hell you're majoring in?
Political science.
So this is the future. Eating it. I love it, you guys.
We're not reading into it anymore. We can follow the money. We see where their contracts are going. We see what they're funding. We see what corporations are profiting for here. Raytheon and every other military corporation making the fucking robot dogs, making the missiles, are here profiting. They are making money. They are making millionaires. They are making rich people out of that situation.
How would you explain the situation around you? Why media is saying LA's burning and it's
the
totally
problem is militarization, and that's what I'm really getting at. It's militarization. When you point weapons at us, when you're hurting us, more people are involved, more people care. That's why I came out. Like, we start seeing it get worse and worse. You have to know at least you made your presence, because you can't just watch that.
So do you think that trying to be bullied by, you know, them sending the military out and him sending the military out. Do you think it caused more of an uproar for the people to unite and more peace even and more American flags to show that not only are we supporting Mexican descent, but first and foremost, we're all Americans, homie?
We already see it copying across other cities. I love that we are starting to get traction, but I just really don't want to see an ending to this where they don't heed us and they just keep being fucking violent, because that's not sustainable. Because
how do we sustain this for 4 years?
How do we sustain this for 4 years? Exactly, because we're not getting any of the demands that we want. We're not getting social welfare services provided to us anymore.
We're not getting civil rights.
We're not getting civil rights at the bare minimum. Yeah. Like, this is disgusting. You can't throw people of one color in vans and dish them off.
We're not getting due process.
We're not getting due process. That's ridiculous.
I'm not a poli-sci major. I had 1 year of radio. I have no political background.
You could see the blood at the CCOP prison from Google Maps. Like, that's a little much.
This is my guy. This is my new little homie. Yeah. Good, thank you, baby. Your homegirl Khool-Aid. Now, one of the people that I've been talking to in the DM since probably like day one of all this started, right?
That's right.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Louis King. It's good to meet y'all. You know, West LA, stand up. You know, we in the building LA, we showing out. You know what I mean? We not rocking with the ICE out here. They not welcome, so you know we finna stand on business.
Well, and you standing on business, you're talking about we're not rocking with them in such a tough guy way, but let's keep it real. You're in the schools teaching music.
That's right. I'm in the schools teaching music. I literally just came from
Pico Union,
and a kid literally maybe 15 minutes ago he said, Mr. Lewis, what we gonna do if ICE come for us? What we gonna do? You know, and I said, you know, we're not gonna let them. What are we gonna do if they come right now? Are the cops gonna stop them? I said, you know what? We're not gonna let them get to you. Don't worry about it. You know, and the sad part is, you know, you hope, you know, for us it's like we're gonna frontline it for sure, but we really don't know what's gonna happen. And you know, it's just sad that a first grader could even be having that idea in his mind that could happen at school. And so in the past couple of days since they started raiding our neighbor school.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because that's how you and I met. It was like you were so frustrated, you just hit me with a DM and you're like, this is what just happened, I have to share it with someone. And I'm like, yeah, we got to share that story.
Oh yeah, I mean we have a bunch of schools in our neighborhood community that are right next to each other, and one of them had graduation last week. My school still has a couple of days left, but the last week's graduation, the ICE raided graduation, and there were parents that were fleeing, and it was just a really sad moment. Kids were crying, running to their teachers, asking if they was going to see their parents again. I had a couple of students that were in my school, in my class, that now go there, and I also had students who were at my school whose parents did get detained, and we had to figure out at the end of the day what to do with them. We went on lockdown. We literally couldn't walk out the door for lunch. We couldn't let the children out of the classroom. We had to keep them in the classroom, because even if ICE possibly did get in, they would need a separate warrant to actually get inside the classroom. So, you know, that's a big thing, is just, you know, trying to get out, make sure people are educated on, you know, what their rights are, and, you know, standing in solidarity for the community, because we all won. And, you know, we know they would have been trying to get us, back to Africa. You know what I'm saying? I'm a first generation from, my dad is from Nigeria. So to me, it's very close to home, and just, challenging to see students that show up and, have this fear about going to school, which is something that should be absolutely,
the safest place there is.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine being in that situation. What do you tell that kid whose parents didn't pick them up? Like that look in their eyes, how do you handle that?
I wish that I knew what to say in the moment. We had to figure out, legal, what's the legal thing to do in this type of situation. It's something that I never could imagine, coming into school that day was going to happen. And, ultimately it was turned over to people who are above me. I'm just, I come in to teach music. I don't really set the rules to that. But to the kid, you want to tell them, just like the kid who asked earlier today, that everything is going to be all right. And really all you can do is hope that it will be.
Do you believe that?
I believe that. I believe that, there's a higher power, and the higher power is with us, and that's why I show up and put myself on the line, because I believe that it's the right thing to do.
How do you keep faith in the higher power during a situation like that, in a struggle, and when you see a kid in that situation, how are you able to keep your faith? I look at it like I have a daughter, a 6-year-old daughter, and it's just no question, no matter what the worst situation is happening, I'm going to show up for her. I'm going to try to make sure that she's not, traumatized from it. And I'm going to make sure that, these students I treat them like my own kids. So for me, it's just like, I've been through a lot of situations in my life, and I think that that's helped me to be able to show up, and there's a reason why I'm here. Just like everybody who's been through hard times, I believe that we go through those situations so that we can help out in another situation later in our lives. Well, and over the last month and a half or something, I became a new fangirl of your LAUSD superintendent. Yeah. I didn't know he had that much gangster in him, and to hear his story, as an immigrant, and just how he stands behind our kids like they're his own. So I definitely want to give you your flowers and say you are seen, you are loved. I see what you're doing to represent the pride and the culture, the pride in the arts in school, which your program's super special. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah, my program is called Aim for the Heart. It's founded by Layla Steinberg, who was Tupac's first manager, and we have an amazing group of artists. Over the years, it's traveled, and we go into schools, prisons, community spaces in need, and we teach about emotional literacy, and we have these difficult conversations. So our class would be essentially a class that talks about bullying, it talks about drugs, it talks about relationships, it talks about what to do if immigration comes and try to your school, and a lot of kids.
Did you think you'd ever be talking about that in this program, honestly, when it started?
It definitely wasn't necessarily a thought in my mind. I was at, we've done over 40,000 students I've had the honor to work with in different assemblies. But I was over at Audubon Middle School, which is more heavily black students in the Crenshaw district. It's mostly black, but there's a lot of Latinos, probably the second. And then I went from that community, and our program is still in that community. But I went into Pico Union because I feel like this is actually one of the most populated parts of the whole city, and so I wanted to get the program in here. And definitely, we're about maybe 98-99% Latino background, so it's definitely something that in the past, since Donald Trump is coming to office, that's become, even before that, but it's it's definitely a reality. And some students, you can't really assume that everyone has someone that they can talk to about it, whether they have parents or guardians or friends. Not everyone has a relationship to where they can talk to the people around them. So we create spaces where students, kids, adults can feel comfortable having these difficult conversations and respected and sharing their vulnerability.
So as an educator, for somebody who wants to show up and wants to do their part but doesn't know how, what would your advice be?
I would say, like I talked about before, follow your heart. Everyone's activism looks different. Not everyone can show up in the streets into the protests, but doesn't mean that your voice is not valued. Some artists, this is a great time for artists. I'm an artist, this is make your art, share how you feel, share, what drives your activism inside you. And I think that's going to be something that's going to be very significant.
Well, okay, let's talk about the dialogue of this part, because you say share your art, do you, and I've been having this conversation with friends. I'm having trouble doing anything right now and feeling like it's okay to do anything with what's going on in the world. Like I've got a lot of my friends that are amazing artists, amazing rappers, and it's like, they'll send me music and it's just like, I can't listen to anything right now. But should I be doing the opposite? Should I be leaning into the music with the message? Like, I don't know how to navigate.
Yeah, I think that there's not really a right or wrong answer, but I do think that if the reality is you're a human first. We're all humans first. So, our own emotional needs, you might not have the strength, or not to say the strength, but just the patience, whatever, in the moment to sit and listen to a song. Your mind might be racing. Like when they came to our school, I wasn't necessarily, my first response was not to write a song, but then
you had to continue to teach.
Yeah, I had to continue
and keep the kids calm.
Exactly, that was number one, and so I just think that there's a time everyone has their time to show up, and it doesn't look the same for everybody. And I think sometimes it's like I've been here probably. I've done hundreds of protests right here. I mean, we used to protest every single week right in front of that Justice Department. Did a protest here, anti-Trump protest here years ago. The first time Trump was in office, there was thousands of people. I think it was like 200,000 people here. And so I just think that it's like, it might just be sharing on social media. It might just be talking to the people who are around you, and it might just be mentally cleansing yourself. Maybe you can't look at this. I'm not one of those people who's like, you didn't show up to the protest, so you're not. Everyone has to do what they have to do. Even thinking of some of these parents, right, who have to choose between going outside, going to work, paying the rent, or risking not coming home. That's like such a difficult thing. So I've kept that in my heart, and to motivate me, like, okay, do what I can do. I can show up today. I can write my song today. I can post my song. I can, meet up with you, reach out to the people that, I believe in, and their voices and their platforms, who
I appreciate that. And human connection, what it's about. Yeah. We're here. I got my doggy.
Much love.
My educator. Let's go.